us and the collaboration we're going to have going forward.
No better way to communicate to your audience.
How do we grow strategically now that we've gotten the right path forward? Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in to Agents Who Win Friday episode. I appreciate you guys jumping on. I called it baseball cap day since Geoff had to wear his baseball cap. I'm like, hey, I got to put it on. So Geoff Talbot and I go way back. He's a good connection for referrals, and I've taken some of his strategies and diving in and just making comments on Facebook, re-engaging with people and things like that. And so I'm like, as we go into this month of lead generation strategies for agents, I thought this would be great to get Geoff back on and talk about what he's doing, coaching agents to just success without like spending thousands of dollars on pay-per-click and Zillow and Realtor.com and OpCity and all these other crazy sites. About let's create referral connections. Let's create conversations and get the people who already follow you to start using you to buy and sell houses. And Geoff, I appreciate, we're coming in an hour late than we usually do because it's early in the morning where you're at. And I appreciate you jumping on early in the morning.
Sure, no problem. It's all, I get up this early anyway, but an hour earlier would have been like 3 a.m. So I thought this is a better time. Nice to be here. Thank you so much.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, last time we talked, you were in California. Now let's tell the audience what part of the country you're in.
Well, I'm down in New Zealand, just south of Australia here. With my mum's a little unwell, so we've been here for about 3-4 months. But it's great. Yeah. It's a beautiful part of the world, and the world is so small that you can connect and work from anywhere now, which is great.
And I love the fact, I love following you on Facebook because the pictures that you're posting of where you're at is just awesome. I mean, the views and everything. It's kind of like, hey, can we come visit?
Sure.
I want to get stuck in quarantine for 2 weeks.
When everything is settled down a bit, we're going to run a retreat here. It'd be amazing.
That'd be awesome. Yeah, we'll have to talk about that. Yeah. So let's dive into some strategies that you're pitching out right now to agents and like what's working, what's not working, and like how the responses work. Because some of the stuff you messaged me back on is like 3 weeks later. Hey, how'd that work out? So I want to dive into that and just like what are some tips we can provide back?
Sure. So I think as an overarching theme, a lot of agents are in lots of different places with lead gen. And sometimes that dilutes what you're doing on social media or just in life in general because you're in so many different places and you end up being a little crappy everywhere. So what we say is, what would you do if you just had your Facebook profile, your phone, and an email account, for example,
right,
to grow your real estate business? What kind of presence would you create? And it's really going for it in that regard. And so seen some great results. We've had someone go from being a $2 million production agent in December last year. We gave her some Facebook profile strategies. She had 7 clients within 3 weeks. She'll do about 10 million plus this year.
Nice.
Which is life-changing for her, which is great. That's what you want without getting overly complicated.
Yeah, and you think about, so I'm selling 2 million. Let's just use simple math because we can all figure out 3%. 2 million is about 60 grand in income. If you go to 10 million, I mean, that's $300,000 or $250,000 on a 2.5% commission. And I mean, think about adding $200,000 to $240,000 to your income for the next year. Like, that's just crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. It's been great for her. I mean, she sends me notes saying, I'm having high-end steak tonight with my son. And I don't care about the price, which is, it's just awesome because she was a really good agent doing lots of stuff before we worked together. And I think this is the key. All the stuff was passive. And when I talk about passivity, yes, you take an action, but you're left waiting for the result. Drip email campaigns, send them out, wait and see if people reply. You believe your nurture is working, but is it? Run some Facebook ads, wait and see if they work. You can measure it a bit. But we feel like the fastest way to get business is to start conversations. And so chat, like messenger, text, these things are very quick ways to find out exactly where people in your sphere of influence are. in their lives and in their real estate journey. And notice I said lives first, because I don't want you all to text people on their phone right now saying, hey, would you like to buy or sell real estate? Because that's not an engaging or great strategy, and you've really like pissed people off. So
Right.
don't do that, but you can
Right.
talk to them and engage them and have conversations. And if, you know, Todd, we like to say sales is a contact sport, which means if you're making contact with people, you'll sell. And if you're not, you won't. And so you get a lot of hang up on that, but let's talk to people.
Well, like this coaching program we're working with called The Locker Room, and it's all based on contact sport and get your jersey dirty. And it is a contact sport, because the more people you can contact and the more connections you can make, the more you're going to sell. So it just depends on how you contact them. You know,
right.
Am I contacting them through Facebook, or am I contacting them by paying, Realtor.com $2,000 a month for leads to come in, or, and people who are not even buyers? Am I contacting them through Facebook ads that are looky-loos that are out there, like Mickey Mouse wants to buy another house?
Right.
Let's talk about your 2 or 3 or 4, 500 or 5,000 friends that you're associated around on Facebook, and how to push those people.
Yeah. And I mean, statistically, what we see, and I think this is backed up by Dean Jackson, who's an email specialist.
Yep.
Is if the people listening, if they have 100 great contacts, like they know 100 people who are kind of your age or my age, Todd, are good, like they could buy or sell real estate. They're typically in that stage of their life. But 100 great contacts, and you reached out with the right strategy, the right approach, and just talk to them, we know that about 50% of them are not going to want to really talk to you. They might not be answering their phone. They might never buy or sell real estate. So we know there's going to be some rejection statistically, but we know that 42 of those people are going to buy or sell real estate in 3 or 4 years. And they could refer you to their friends right now if you have a really engaging and great conversation with them and build a good relationship. And we know that 7 or 8 of them are going to buy or sell real estate in the next 4 to 6 months. So the truth is, if you don't talk to those 100 people, those 7 or 8 people are probably not going to use you. They're going to use another realtor that somebody else recommends to them, or they're going to jump online and find some slick back fella. So right. So they're going to find Todd. So the truth is, though, all you really have to do is talk to them and make a really great impression, and know how to start the conversation, build rapport, build relationship, and move the relationship offline as well. And that's kind of what we help people do, is to say, this is how you, I know it sounds really like almost simple, and it is, but that makes it good, right? Because anyone can do it. How do you start a conversation in Messenger in a way that gets people to respond?
Right.
Often we go too fast, too quick, and it doesn't work. The first goal is to get them to reply. That's all you're trying to do. Get them to reply, and without being clickbait, right? Because you could send all sorts of things which would get people to reply, but it wouldn't be favorable.
Well, I mean, I look at a lot of my messages I've sent out to people, and I'm like just re-engaging with them with something else. And I look at the last message. It was an invitation to something, or something that was like trying to like, hey, come to us. And there was no response to it. But then I messaged them about something else, and there's a quick response, because it depends on what the message is and how you're sending it. So you want to make sure you're being natural with your questions and not trying to be salesy with your questions. And I may be saying the words the wrong way, but the point is
no, you're right. And so we say the only reason someone posts on social media is to create the opportunity for one-on-one conversations with people. So we use questions a lot on Facebook, where we'll have, one of my questions earlier this year got 1,200 comments. This week we had a lady use a question in a group who started a new thing, her local community group, because she only has 600 Facebook friends.
Yeah.
She wanted to grow her sphere of influence. We got her to use a community group. Within 48 hours, she had 2,000 comments on her question.
Oh my God.
And that's loads of people now know who she is, and she can start messenger conversations with people who gave her the sort of answer that she can relate to, right? And so people are everywhere. If we have the techniques to start conversations, then what do we do once we're in them? And you need certain frameworks for that. Here's one thing that I think could be valuable, and if people are listening and it is valuable, they can just say it is in the chat. That's always helpful. In the comments, just say valuable. When it comes to having conversations with people in your sphere of influence, what we see, a big problem that people make is, well, there's a few problems, but they'll either be transactional. That's a big problem. Don't be transactional. Be relational. Because remember, 42 out of the 100 are could use you in 3 or 4 years. And if you're transactional now, you're going to lose that business. So even if you're being relational, we see a lot of agents, sometimes from certain brokerages, which are very service orientated. So what they'll do is they'll make everything about the other person. So Todd, like, how long have you been in real estate? Oh, that's good. And what do you love about it? And you keep asking you questions, right? And it feels like a CIA interrogation after a while. And then right at the end of the conversation, they'll say, and Todd, if you know anyone who needs a realtor, could you refer me? And it feels awkward. It feels really, really awkward because it is.
Yeah.
And so part of the relationship building process is to ask a question and share a bit about yourself. So, oh yeah, how long are you doing that? Well, I've been doing this for about 8 years. You asked me about, we talked before this call, by the way, I talked about my son being quite small. You talked about football. We got to know each other a little bit, right? Because we're doing a mutual sharing, and that's what forms a really strong relationship that will get you referrals and will make it like a no-brainer for someone to use you as a realtor because you have a connection. So we're not interrogating, we're forming connections. And that's, it takes work and practice, but it's actually fun and rewarding because everyone in your community knows who you are. And that's what you want.
So when we started working together, it's been almost a year, maybe 9 months ago, you had me post a question in a community group. Hey, I'm a realtor, Todd Schroth, and there's maybe 4,000 people in my community group. And so I posted, hey, I'm a realtor. I've got buyers looking for homes. If you're considering selling, please let me know. And, or, whatever the exact question was. Yeah. And there was like 70 or 80 comments within 24 hours on there, of which turned into 3 listing appointments and 2 new buyers getting connected with us. And so it was like one question that was free, or I pay for your coaching, but call it I'm not having to buy the list, but it's that one question created $30,000 to $50,000 in income, depending on the price range and the time that they're going to close and if they get to closing. And so, what did we, the return on ROI is just stupid there. And, I wanted to ask another question though. You post, which I think they're great questions, and it's like, and you're seeing, some people are ripping off and duplicating on their page without using your coaching, which I'm like, hey, I'm going to take that question and try it. But you post something on your personal page. If I give you $200,000 to renovate your current home, what changes would you make? And people are saying what's on there, and you're getting 132 comments. You're doing a bunch of responses. And I think it's creative because you go back like 2 weeks and you'll answer a bunch of those questions. Or, hey, so are you still thinking about that? If I gave you 200 grand, would you still add that addition on, or what would you do? Or do you have any different ideas or something?
Right. That's the thing with great content. And it's also the addiction of our age is we think we have to keep on creating great content every single day. I have a question from like 2 years ago that if I go back and comment on it now, I'll get 80 more comments on it. So knowing how the algorithms work, so things don't just live for a short time. That question you mentioned, Todd, I had an interaction with a realtor yesterday. I'm just trying to find it here because it's a great question. Where is he? Here. Let me find it here. He sent me a note. He said, dude, that question was freaking good. Now, he's a client, but he stole the question. It's okay. You can come from contribution and take people off Facebook into Messenger. I set a $1.3 million listing appointment from it. That's yesterday.
From this question.
From that question. Because now you can't just live off one question. You've got to turn the algorithms over and know the whole point of asking a question, like Mark is saying in there, is like pinch. You're pinching them. You're seeing what's going on in their life. you're helping them if they want your help, building relationships if they don't, and the value is huge. We've had posts before where people get 4 to 6 listing appointments. The thing you did in that Facebook group, that was a like clear out all the bullshit, direct ask on behalf of my clients. Like, I have a client right now who can't find anything in our community. If you know of anyone wanting to buy or sell, please let me know. Yes, this is a realtor working really hard for their clients. And sometimes it's good just to ask for what you want in life. And you don't need to hide the fact that you're a realtor, but you don't need to hide the fact that you're a human being either. So it's part of your life. And yeah, it works. You know, if you are trying to engage people, you'll be engaging. And if you're not, you won't. And I think, again, people waiting for someone to message them in Messenger to say, hey, would you like to be my realtor, rather than reaching out, just nurturing, being a good human, talking, even having a laugh, being mischievous. Some of the things in my Messenger inbox would be amazing. There's all sorts of fun stuff. Can I tell you one story, Todd?
Yeah.
My favorite thing, I had 12 people once, realtors, just like you guys, who were not replying to me. I like a group of people who hadn't replied. So I sent them all a note. This is talking about having fun. And it said, hey, love, could you pick me up a dozen hot buns and some eggs from Trader Joe's? Thanks, Geoff. 10 out of 12 replied.
So wait, are you wanting me to go get you the gift cards from the store and scratch off the numbers and send you the codes? Is that what you're trying to do?
We're just interrupting patterns of, you know.
You are, yes.
Yeah, we and understanding that when everyone else is selling, if you be relational, that also interrupts the pattern a little bit.
Right.
Having fun and being human is very rewarding, and I think that's why sometimes our marketing gets boring,
right?
Because it's so like inhuman, and it's so numbers driven. It doesn't feel good. I had a lady yesterday, she's a member of our program, went through some hard times personally, and she's got a job with a realtor company where it's a little iffy, but she gets like paid $500 for every she basically forwards people, is able to forward people money if they agree to sell their home with their company in 2 years' time. Like, people are short of cash, right? So not a very, and she said, oh, like, she's like, it's kind of soulless. I miss being a realtor. Like, I miss helping people. And so it's really important that you see your lead gen and everything through the pipeline as a form of helping people. Because honestly, you might help someone a bunch with a property, but you could actually change their life with a social media post or a message at the right time,
right?
Like, just by being a good human. So, and grow your business.
So where did you come up with like a lot of these questions that you're pushing out there?
Oh, so yeah, I've studied it for a long time. I'm curious. I want to know what gets people to reply. I want to know where they are in their life. I've always been like a bit of a nosy bastard, to be honest. So it's a natural curiosity. So it's not just about getting people to comment. I'm naturally curious about people. I want to know who they are. I enjoy the connection. So you want to foster that in yourself, because it's good not to be nosy, but to really want to connect and understand other human beings, I believe. So a lot of them I've created. And then we will run workshops in our training sometimes where we might have 50 realtors in our client program on a particular Zoom call. And I'll say, let's create this kind of question. I give them the framework. I'll set a timer for 5 minutes. And those 50 realtors can create 300 questions together.
So you're leveraging your group as well.
Yeah, the synergy and combined creativity, and you get an idea from somebody else. And then we test them and we try them. And when they work really well, we add them to our database. And you learn patterns.
Right.
But it's still surprising, because sometimes I'll think, this is an absolutely killer question. This one's going to go crazy. And I'll post it and no response. So and then sometimes you know, and sometimes you don't. So it's nice to test and try and fail. I don't know if you know this statistic, Todd, but the other day I was looking for some basketball statistics in the NBA, and I found this stat, and it was the 4 people at the top. I can't remember the middle 2, but I know that Kobe Bryant was top and LeBron James was 4th. And this is for the entire history of the NBA. And the number beside Kobe Bryant's name, he was the top person in the NBA for this, was like 14,140 or something like that. And I was like, wonder what that is. I wonder what that stat is. And you know what it was? It was shots missed. In the entire history of the NBA, Kobe Bryant missed more shots than anybody else.
Right.
And so you gotta like reach out to people, try, connect, fail, learn, you know.
You'll learn more by the shots you miss than the shots you've made. And
Yeah, totally.
I think is a lot of it, because that's why they keep shooting. They're out there practicing and they're getting the ball the most. So if you're out there shooting the most, you're going to have more opportunities. You're going to have more at bats. You're going to have a lot more of everything. You know, going to the guys at, you know, FSBO and Expired Prospect, their numbers are for every 100 people I call, I'm going to probably talk to 10 and go on 1 to 2 appointments. So I can be 1 for 1 if I only called one person and it was somebody that I knew was buying a house. Or do I want to try and reach out more opportunities and, you know, create more leverage? So why not call 100 people, get 10 and do that? So it kind of is all relational, like the amount of shots missed. And you could say, I called 10,000 people this month. They're like, oh my God. It's like, but only how many answered? How many times did I get the listing? How many, you know, because I took the time to do that. Now, I don't FSBO or Expired Prospect, but I'm like all for the, like your style of, hey, how can I get the people to come to me that I already know? And and your posting does work. I mean, it's great that how well it works, because it's just a simple question that's out there for it.
We use these too. You'll see here. I use them myself. I have red, orange, green.
What is that?
And white. These are counters. These are counters.
Okay.
So clickers, so I can click them. So every time somebody starts a conversation, you can click the red counter when you start.
Right.
Now, I was wondering why this felt so good. And I know that it feels good because I left it lying around once and my 5-year-old picked it up and goes like this and ruined my count. And I talked to a neuro coach who's a friend of mine, and she said, oh, I said, why does it feel so good? Am I like a puppy? Am I clicker training myself? Like, what's going on?
Right.
She said, actually, there's a dopamine response by making a physical action when you click it. So if you measure like conversations that you start, it's serious business. Like you can start as many as you want. This is when red when you start, orange, it's getting a little bit more like go when they reply and talk to you. And then green, when you ask them for what you want, like, is it a coffee, a conversation, etc. But this one here, I found to be the most important counter. Do you know what it is? It's for finishing conversations.
Yes.
Otherwise, you get massive overwhelm in your messenger box. So I'll click this. Like, I got to end them once a week. I got to end everything. So I'll be like, hey, great chatting to you. Let's catch up for coffee if that's how it ends. Or do you want to join our program? And if they say yes, that's how it ends. Or, hey, it seems like maybe it's not a very good time for you. I totally get that. Let's talk again in a couple of months. So this counter changed my life.
You sent out and talk about responses and conversations I've got to finish. You know, who all remembers the big Facebook crash 4 days ago? You know, where we like, is it working? Is it working? Is it working? So I get these emails from you. And of course, this one's a lot longer and like right on par. Did Facebook crash? Are you trying to figure out whatever it was, the clients?
Yeah.
So I took your question and I dropped it in our emails to our clients. And I've started probably 50 conversations with past clients that don't respond to emails, that don't respond to like invitations to events we're hosting, don't respond to anything, but they responded to that. And these guys aren't even on social media, and they're sitting there, responding to the email, knowing that I wouldn't be trying to reach them on social. So I have an inbox that I need to find about an hour to finish these conversations with, and I'm literally getting life updates on these people. So
amazing. Yeah,
it's pretty cool. So I'm like, unfortunately, I'm 2 or 3 days later responding to them, but I'm sorry, I've been busy and I haven't had a chance to go back on my email system that I had or emails that I sent to get responses back. But hey, it'll run through the weekend, and we'll create some more conversations.
Let's talk about that point. You made a very interesting point. I'll talk about why we sent the email, but also you said something which I think people listening, it's valuable to them. Often we think, oh, I've done a shitty job of nurturing. Pardon my French. I know it's not French.
Yeah, we don't censor anything here.
Yeah, I've done a really bad job of nurturing people, so I feel guilty, so I won't nurture, right? We have a number of frameworks, and we tested one recently in our group training where people sent this message which said like, whoops, you've been on my mind and I totally dropped the ball. I'm wondering this about you. How are you doing with such and such?
Yeah.
By far out of all the frameworks, that got the highest response rate. So all we're looking for when we're trying to connect is a context or a reason to connect. And forgetting is a good reason. Even if it was like 3 years ago, you could send a message, oh my goodness, you've been on my mind. I know it's been 3 years. I totally dropped the ball. How are you doing? That person they don't think, oh, wow, what a terrible person Todd was for dropping the ball. They think he still remembers me after 3 years. That's what they think. Or he's unafraid to reach out. Like, it's nice. He reached out after 3 years. Like, the thing you're ashamed of could be the thing that helps you build the relationship.
Well, and yet you're starting the relationship all over again. So some of these guys, I mean, I haven't spoke to in 2 or 3 years. That's my fault as a repeat referral business realtor, not talking to some of these guys in 2 or 3 years since closing. I should be involved in them more often. I'm trying to do subtle communication and get them to respond. And ironically, social media had to crash for me to get responses from them. And they're not even on social media. So they probably didn't even notice.
But here's why that works. And this is also why you should use what we do, but maybe use it with us. Because context for outreach is really important. And basically, you need a reason to send somebody a message. Otherwise, it's going to feel odd to them and it's going to feel like sales. And so, classic example, Kirsten Openshaw in our training, she's gone from 4 million to 32 million production in 2 years. About 77% is from Facebook, right? During the snowstorm in Austin, Texas, we have 2 people in our training. One is a gentleman, amazing, both amazing. He sent in a Facebook post out. He was talking to his plumber, and his plumber said, these are the things you need to do with your pipes because they're going to freeze over. It's going to ruin your house. Like, must do these things. So he creates a Facebook post that's about all the things his plumber told him. That got shared 60,000 times on Facebook. Amazing, right? 60,000 times. No, I think I'm wrong. It might have been 15,000. I apologize.
It's still a lot.
A lot.
Even at 15,000.
He got one listing from that. All that exposure, one listing.
Right.
So, still great. Amazing. Helped a lot of people. Kirsten Openshaw in Texas as well. I was worried about her because she has an immune-compromised child. So I sent her a note saying, hey, you're right. And she's like, yeah, we're fine. We've still got power. I said, oh, have you messaged your sphere of influence? She said, no, I haven't. I thought they would be too busy trying to stay warm. So she sends 100 people a note and it says, hey, Kirsten here. You've been on my mind. Are you warm? Is there anything you need? That's all she sent. 100 people within an hour, 67 people replied, 2 listings and a buyer.
Right.
Because she went straight to the conversation. She had context. The context was a snowstorm. The context for you was the internet. It doesn't really matter. People just need a reason. You and I both have children. How old is your oldest?
13 and 12.
Yeah, both of them are old enough for this to work. If you say to them, pick that up, most likely at some point one of them is going to say no or why or etc. Right. You haven't given them a reason. But if you say, Gabriel, my leg's a bit sore. Could you grab that for me? He'll pick it up. Or we got to go out in a bit. Could you pick it up? I could pick it up. But the reason psychologically for asking is very important. And so anytime there's a problem with the world, terrible time to cold call, great time to build relationships. And that's where the opportunity is. Cold calling in a snowstorm in Texas would have been a disaster. Like you would have maybe not made it out alive. right? But being a good human, never been a
Right.
better time. People sent her notes too, saying it was quite heartbreaking. Like that simple message: "Oh, you brought tears to my eyes. Nobody's asked me how I'm doing for 2 days." A
Well,
group text from a CRM.
yeah, and that's the thing is like you're learning what's going on in the world, keeping up with the world, and knowing like we have realtor relationships across the country, across the world, and like if I see something happens in Houston with this flood or snowstorm, whatever, I need to reach out to my Houston agents and just check in. And
Yeah.
you can do that if you have your database properly tagged and you are following stuff. You know, when COVID first hit, it's those that reached out and said, "Do you need anything? I can get it to you. I'm out. I'm mobile. You need toilet paper. You need whatever. You need groceries." And especially for the older clients, like we can help.
Yeah.
We'll get out there for you.
Yeah. It's amazing.
Oh.
And it's also when your competition tends to do nothing.
Right.
Like Facebook's down. I'm a part of a group with 250 other coaches all around the world, maybe 300. We hopped on a call 2 or 3 hours after that happened, or while it was still happening. As far as I know, I was the only coach who had sent a message via email to their CRM. Everyone else just naturally was like, shit, Facebook is down. What can I do? I can't do anything. I'll go play golf. But people were like, what's happening with the world? Oh, somebody sent me a message. That's nice.
Well, we want to like learn. I wanted to post about Facebook being down. I'm like, shit, I can't even get on Instagram or anything else and post about it and just make some comment. And I had to wait for it to pop back up on the way home. Like, who survived the last 5 hours? Who got more work in the last 5 hours than they have in the last year? Stuff like
Totally.
that.
Yeah,
So,
totally.
Geoff, diving in, you have a coaching program that you like work people around for this. So let's talk about that for a little bit.
Sure. So we have like a new thing actually launching this Monday. So it's actually quite good timing.
Perfect.
We've taken the best of what we've done so far and got rid of everything else. And so that work that was just busy work. And so basically it's 4 months. And the first month we focus solely on what's called the Conversation Generator, a training, getting you conversations on Facebook. We give you proven questions to use so you don't have to guess what works. And we show you how to start conversations in Messenger and how to progress them to figure out if this is a client, a referral partner, or just not for you. So that's the first month. And then the next month, when you think about it, one of the other issues is not just not having conversations, but conversations are not deep enough. And so we have a thing called the love drop, which is a ways of using Messenger and chat and just life in general to make a huge difference in the lives of people that creates referral type relationships. So often we're just too shallow in our communication, too transactional, too superficial. And we have one agent totally surprised me. If I had to pick this person to do it, he would have been one of the last because he's an aircraft engineer up in Canada who is also a realtor. He's gone from 2 million to 10 million this year as well. And a big part of what he's done is he's just been really good to people in his sphere of influence, sending them love drop messages, doing incredible acts of kindness. He had a client, it's really sad, but he's like terminally ill. And he found out that this client's whose favorite baseball player was. He was an older gentleman. And he hired a local artist to do a sketch of this baseball player for him. And he said when he gave it to the family and to this gentleman, like he cried. It's done amazingly good things. So we spend a month on like going deeper with your sphere.
Right.
And then we spend a month on growing your sphere of influence. Because if we're really honest, for a lot of realtors, one of the biggest problems is really not enough people know who you are, how good you are at what you do, and what a good human being you are in your community. You're just too unknown. And so you can use Facebook when you know the kinds of people you want in your sphere of influence, because you don't want everybody. you get to choose. There's some people that would bore you, would offend you, would be not really resonate with you.
My comment that I put on our Facebook group about Hammer Realtor looking for stuff. There's a couple nasty people on there, and so luckily, the admin deleted them from the group and the comments. But like, listen, folks, we're trying to sell a house here. We're trying to find some inventory. So I'm reaching all aspects, and you should appreciate if you work with me that I'm going to dig deeper than just wait for the internet to find that property.
Yeah, totally. And so you want people, like, honestly, your sphere of influence and your Facebook friend list, if there are loads of people in it that you would that you don't want to start a messenger conversation with. Not that you don't know how, but you don't want to talk to them on Messenger and you don't want to talk to them in real life. They shouldn't be in it. They're taking up the seat of somebody else. You want thousands of people who think you're awesome, who like the photos of your kids, who like your values, your passions, your hobbies, etc. So we have a module called the Sphere Expander. It can work really well. We had one lady move to Northwest Arkansas. She added 700 new contacts in 1 week.
Oh, wow.
All entrepreneurial businesswoman. Because she didn't know anyone. She just moved there. So she had to get more contacts. So that's really important for some people. And then we spend a month on what we call the partner directory, because ultimately, if I had to have a referral network that is self-fulfilling, you want to really have deep relationships with people who have a high referral potential.
Yeah.
So they see lots of other people every day. They believe in helping each other, referrals, etc. So we go after that. We have a business directory we help people create. We have one lady get 18 new partners in a day from it, which is huge. Like, and it's all, again, just like knowing the frameworks to use. But when you think about it, if you're talking to people all the time, you have really deep relationships, your sphere of influence is growing, because if it's not growing, it's kind of dying. People get bored with you. I know it's horrible to say.
They do. I mean, there's for real estate, everybody's got the real estate license. Everyone, like the people that I'm talking to right now, that are joining our team, like, COVID hit and I needed to do something. So I got my license online. And then by the time I got done, they called me back to my job, but I actually want to try real estate. So let's give it a shot.
Interesting. Yeah.
So it's like it's created a lot more realtors, but what it means is it dilutes our industry from the people who've been doing it for a long time and people who just want to try it as a hobby. Let me go sell 1 or 2 homes a year. Like, sorry, this is not that kind of business.
Right. Put the hat on, go to work, right?
Yep. No, this is going to work.
One of the cool things we've started to do more and more, because I've done this for about 8 years now or so. And at the start, I get really frustrated because I would tell or help or train realtors what to do, and they wouldn't do it. And because you forget, you get busy. It's nothing wrong with you. It's just people. So we meet for this program. We're meeting on Mondays, and we're starting conversations together, and spending most of the time being given frameworks, implementing together. Like, we'll do little sprints. In the past, I've given away prizes to the person who can start the most conversations. They're not normally very good prizes, in case you're getting greedy. Like,
Right.
I've given people my cats and stuff like that. Normally fake prizes. Congratulations, you get 2 demonic cats. There you go. But have fun, but start conversations. So we when we do the live workshops weekly, it's live, and then there's hybrid content for you to go through in your own time. And also got, Todd, you wouldn't know about this because it's new, but we've got a really cool delivery system for our content now, for our questions, where we can put it straight into your calendar. So you can go to your calendar and go, oh, here are my 5 questions for today. I can choose one that I'm going to use, or this is the goal for the post today. So it's a new thing we've started trialing that seems to work pretty well. So it's something we're going to be doing from this point forward. So just trying to make it really easy for people to implement. Of course, at the end of the day, I bring the oranges, but you got to make the juice.
Right. No, exactly. And that's the thing is I am one myself that I get too busy. So I'll get your email and I'm like, all right, I'll get to it. And all of a sudden I'm like, shit, it's on page 3. And so I've got to get back and clean the email inbox up, or delegate that to someone to post on. I mean, I have VAs that'll help with that stuff. Hey, on Tuesday, make sure you post this. But I'm glad we acted quickly on your other one that you sent on the email, because that created direct conversations. Nobody else did it that we told to try it, and we had a 45% open rate on our email that we sent. And,
crazy.
So
and a good reply rate too.
Yeah, and it's if I would have waited till later in the day or just said, hey, okay, let's table this till tomorrow. Well, Facebook's open. Doesn't matter.
That's what I was like. You got to be quick. I was panicking. I was like, I got to do this really quick. Like I was literally, because I know that they're going to solve the problem soon, and my opportunity is going to be gone.
Right. So
everyone else
opportunity created 50 new connections or reconnections for me.
Yeah. Everyone else was hoping Facebook would come on quickly. I was hoping it would stay off for just a little bit longer.
I gotta get the email out, get people to like connect on it or whatever. That's funny. So, well, when do you want to give some as we wrap up some context as far as what your coaching program is, how they get involved in and maybe drop the link in the comments or some information in the comments, and how they get involved in it, where they can reach out to you, so they can dive into your program, because I think you have a great product, and it's a natural like conversation and getting back with your people.
Right. Yeah. I'm just going to pop this in here. All I ask, keep it real simple. If it's exciting or interesting to you, and you're watching this, just send me a Facebook message right there. We follow our own principles, so we talk to people, see if it's right for them, just have a conversation about it. It is something that takes about 3 to 4 hours a week. But let's face it, if you're getting a $1.3 million listing from one Facebook question, it's well worth it. There's investment involved, but we have really flexible payment options. Basically, when you start, you'll come to a live call every week. You'll get access to proven Facebook content. You will also be able to work through your own speed. We've got a really nice workbook now. It's a whole new training that we're doing. Even Todd probably doesn't know about it because I've not done a good job of telling him yet. But it's like super streamlined and effective and measurable. Every time somebody doesn't succeed, my first question is, well, have you been having any conversations?
Yep.
And they have, then I want to see them, find out what's been going on. Like, let's have a look. Oh, you've been saying that? Well, I wouldn't reply to that either. But mostly it's because we are afraid to talk to people, which is strange. So it's very much hands-on. Message me. We'll talk about it.
Okay.
We have, I think over the past year or so, we've put about 270 people through it or something like that. So it's a good number of people. Yeah, you're not the guinea pig or anything like that.
Yeah. No, it's all good stuff, because I mean, it's been 9 months we've been working, and I've been slowly working on it. I mean, I've been slowly doing it because I'm an all lead gen type thing. I need to narrow in a lot of my focus because I am like the squirrel in the circle, or the hamster in the wheel. Sorry, I'm trying to remember the analogy. Just keep spinning to see something works. So, well, Geoff, I appreciate you jumping on today, guys. We've gone over, but it's great content because this is conversation, and really how the conversations have to roll through the messenger and just talking to people.
Yeah, powerful tool. You can also just use your text message as well. It's really powerful. Just talk to people.
Just group them out there. If you want to do mass texting through your phone, there's a program called Reach. It's an app, which you just type the message and just have them. If you have your people in groups, have it just hit send, and it'll send, hey John, hey Jeff, hey Sally, and like it's personal to them, but it's being typed once and being sent out.
Perfect. Yeah, scalable. It's great.
Yep, scale as much as you can, because it is time and energy, and we only have so much time or energy. The more I can make things easier for myself, the better off and faster I'm gonna get to success doing stuff.
Yeah, totally. Love it. Thank you so much for having me on here. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, Geoff, I appreciate a repeat guest on here. Everybody, agents who win, I want you guys to win the day, win the lead gen, win the referrals, win the connections. You guys crush it this weekend, and definitely message Geoff to jump into his program for next week. I appreciate you.
Bye for now.